Well, hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us again. I'm here with Becky Usello, and we are going to cover a couple states that we highlighted in our big preview a week ago, but we wanted to narrow down and just really give you a couple nuts and bolts to make sure that you have what you need in order to make that application deadline. Welcome, Becky.
Thanks, Tara. I am so happy to be here today to discuss Idaho and Texas with you. And the first state that we're looking at is Idaho.
Great. Well, Idaho has an application window deadline of March 15th. So we want to make sure that you are fully aware of where to go to apply in Idaho. And there are still plenty of spots available for Idaho families to get an opportunity to have choice in your state. Becky, would you like to start us off with some of the pertinent information?
Yes, I actually went to their website, the myschoolchoice.idaho.gov. Very user friendly. As a parent, I was very impressed with how it just looks like it's easy to apply. And I would not be intimidated by the looks of the website. So I just want to put that out there. If you're worried about, oh my gosh, what do I need? It's going to walk you through it. The cool thing about Idaho, in my opinion, is they've got a couple different scholarship amounts. They have $5,000 for typical students. So if you are a parent of a typical student and you want to do charter school or homeschool or hybrid or magnet, any of those, you can do up to $5,000 per student. If you have a student who requires more support, and there are a lot of us out there, a lot of us moms that have students that need just a little more support, you can get up to $7,500 per student. And I went on the website to take a look, like, what do you need to show? Like, what's that process look like? And there are two ways that you can show that you need that extra funding for your kid. The first one is individualized education plan. And if you have a kid with disabilities, you are very familiar with what an IEP is. And so if you just have that in a digital copy, you can upload that. Or if maybe you have a little one and they have not been to school yet, a school situation yet, you may want to contact your doctor. And if your doctor, which I would assume your doctor would be an Idaho licensed medical professional, there is a document that they can sign with, including what the diagnosis is, and that would be enough to qualify for that extra funding for your student with disabilities. So again, just to put it in a nutshell, an IEP or a signed document that you can download from the website, a document signed by the medical professional that has an Idaho license that says this is the diagnosis of this child. So either one will work.
And I want to add in there, there is an and tacked onto that, that if the student must also require ancillary personnel as defined in the Idaho Code, Section 33-2001. That's really important because there are specific disabilities. And so you want to make sure that your IEP is properly written so that your student, and I've when I ran the program here in Ohio, a lot of parents sometimes would just run in there and get their IEP filled out, but forget to make certain that the specified needs of the child were actually in that document. So parents, take a little bit of extra time and make sure that your children, that all of their needs are documented on their IEP to provide them with what they actually need. And that's a requirement for Idaho. But isn't that wonderful, Becky, that they provide that additional funding for students with special needs? Because I don't know about you out there in Missouri, but for me here in Ohio, it was not available for a long time for
Mm-hmm.
students like my son. And that's just one less thing that parents have to think about on there.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yes.
So that's really exciting. One other thing that I noticed that is provided in Idaho is transportation.
Hmm. Yes.
That's a service that's provided, and they provide transportation. Now, keep in mind that it's not to extracurricular activities. This is transportation provided to and from school. And if you are transporting your children and you have documentation, you have to document your mileage, but they will do a reimbursement for you on that. So, but you have to have it documented. So I thought that was really something. The other thing that application to keep in mind is that you have to be a resident, a legal resident of Idaho, and you have to um, be able to have your tax returns to be able to prove your residency as well. Anything else you'd like to add for parents of Idaho before we move on to Texas, Becki?
Just for parents to keep in mind, especially if you have students that are in high school, these funds can cover college admission tests, advanced placement tests. So it's not just schooling and curriculum. In particular, there are other fees that these funds will cover.
Yes, and that reminded me of one more thing that I really wanted to make sure that parents knew. It's not eligible if you're attending a public school in Idaho. However, a non public school that is teaching the four main curriculum areas: English language arts, math, science, and social studies. And one of the frequently asked questions that I noticed was, well, what if it's a non-accredited,
Oh,
non-charter, non-public? And yes, as long as you are keeping a portfolio of your students. So I highly recommend visiting that Idaho site that Becki mentioned
mhm.
and that you saw up on the screen that we've mentioned before in last week's episode. Visit schoolchoicetoolkits.com so that you can get all of that information in one neat package for you. And Idaho families, do not hesitate to fill out an application and get registered today.
Sign up.
Okay, Becki, our next state that we're going to highlight for families today is Texas. And we mentioned in our last call, look at that great state of Texas. Um, how excited we were, and not to take anything away from Idaho or anyone else that we talk about, but Texas is in full swing right now. You can be just as eligible on the first day as you are on the last day, but I always say it's better to be prepared, and why wait till the last day in case
Exactly.
your computer, you have technical difficulties or anything like that. So I say no time like the presence. And they have until March 17th, correct, Becki? That's what our slide says. March 17th is the window to
Yes.
apply.
Yes.
So, Becki, why don't you tell a little bit about Texas and then I'll join in?
Yeah. So, like Tara said, this is not first come first serve. You can apply at any time, but um, might as well just go ahead and do it. And I visited this website as well. Very user friendly. So kudos to the comptroller's office for doing a great job with putting this together. The average scholarship is $10,000 per student. However, if you are doing the homeschool thing, you can get up to $2,000, which is still a great amount of money. As someone who is currently homeschooling, $2,000 can go a long way with homeschooling a student. If you have a student with disabilities, you can get up to $30,000. And again, you just have to show the documentation that your student has additional needs, and that money can be used for not only the academics but also educational therapies. And there are other approved expenses like uniforms and meals provided by the private school, which, looking at that, kind of blew me away because that is rare. I don't know any other program that allows for those expenses. So if you are in Texas and you are looking for an educational alternative to public school, please go to educationfreedom.texas.gov and see what your options are.
And I would encourage you to remember that those that are eligible are students that are U.S. citizens or lawfully here in the U.S., and they're eligible to attend their public school. So keep that in mind. Make sure that you have your documentation to provide that. Um, the IEP does need to be on file. for that. If you don't have it, say you're in process of getting an IEP for your student, it hasn't been completed, do not let that slow you down from applying. It's still really important for you to apply, and then you can upload that later. They have a timeline on their website. It's a wonderful website, and it kind of walks you through.
Hmm.
It's very helpful. It tells you, there's little red buttons down there, the parent prep
Yeah.
checklist, the application guide, the walkthrough. I mean, Texas, again, they go big or go home. I mean, they really have thought of everything, not only every student and what every student needs, but hey, parents, let's come alongside you and walk you through this process. So you can visit schoolchoicetoolkits.com, get the basics for Texas. There's a lot of information, but it's really pretty simple in order to make that application. And for both states that we've mentioned thus far, keep in mind, this is not weeks long application. This is, hey, grab yourself a cup of coffee, sit
Yep.
down on a Saturday morning, get your documents together, enter the information, and then click the button to submit.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
keep in mind that we're going over it a lot to make sure that you're ready and you feel comfortable, because we're two moms that did this.
Yep.
We went through this, and I remember the anxiety going, oh my gosh, is this for real? And I tell parents, I said, don't wait till the last minute. We're not trying to rush you, but something could always happen. Maybe you thought you had a document, you don't. So you never just kind of want to get caught without meeting that deadline. But it really is not a difficult process. And those of you that have been waiting and looking for this opportunity, you want to make sure that you've got it available. Another thing somebody had thrown in a question in there was, what about, when do they stop? If it's easy to apply at the first day as the last date, well, when funding, as long as funding is available, and then it will go to a lottery in Texas. So keep that in mind. But don't let that discourage you, because, I was one of those parents who applied 3 years in a row and did not accept the scholarship for my girls, because I honestly, I know I'm embarrassed to even say this, I wasn't sure that it was for real. This was
Yeah.
back in the day when school choice was very new, and I thought somebody is punking me. And finally, on the third year, a friend said, "What is wrong with you? Get those girls into the proper school." And I did. And, life never looked so good for them. So, parents, you can make the application, and providers, you can get approved as well. There is a section on the website. If you're a school and you think, you know what? I'd like to be able to take advantage of this opportunity to offer services to students in Texas.
Yeah.
Go onto the site, on the website, and fill out your application. And Becky, I don't know if you mentioned it or not, but one thing that I saw was career and technical schools are also eligible
Yes.
for students. That's
Yes.
so important, because so many kids nowadays do not fall into the college track, and they're looking for other things. And I say again, choice is what's best for your student and your family, not
Absolutely.
what's best for everyone else, right?
Absolutely. And I think we've seen in the news enough about how important the trades are. And
Absolutely.
there's a whole generation of people in the trades lane that are going to be retiring, and somebody's got to fill those spots. And why not students graduating from high school this year or next year? Go in
Absolutely.
that direction.
One other thing that I wanted to mention is the comptroller's office will be monitoring this and providing audits. So those folks that are worried about, is there accountability? Absolutely, there is
Hmm.
accountability, and you can tell that Texas is taking that very seriously by the effort that they have put into their application site. So you can rest assured for that. And then another question that came up, and I think this is wonderful, is, do I have to reapply every year
Oh,
after year after year?
that's a
And
good
no,
question.
you don't. You can indicate, if you're in good standing with the scholarship granting organization, you can just submit your intent to take the scholarship again the next year. Isn't that wonderful, Becky?
That is wonderful. And I think that's such a testament to the state of Texas for
Yep.
being so school choice friendly.
Yes. And trusting
They,
your parents.
yeah, they are trusting parents. They, just the fact that their website is so user friendly, to me as a parent, it shows that they are very much taking this seriously, and they want to offer these options to families. They're
Yes.
invested in this, and like I said, what a testament to the state of Texas.
I love it. Well, thank you folks for tuning in this evening with us. Idaho and Texas, head on out to your computer, log into your sites, start your application process. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact us at teramyerschoolchoice@gmail.com or submit any questions that you may have at our YouTube channel, Moms on a Mission. And we look forward to being available to helping you soon.